Welcome back to Ray, a Hope of Happiness. I hope everybody is having an amazing Monday. I'm going to try to get this uploaded. Um, this is just kind of a video telling you about me, who I am, a little bit of history. I'm not going to go completely in depth. That will be in the future. But for those of you that want to know who I am, my name is Courtney. I grew up in a household that my parents divorced when I was very young. Both of my parents were addicts. They had split custody of me. The custody went, Monday I was with my dad, Tuesday I was with my mom, Wednesday I was with my dad, Thursday I was with my mom, and they done every other weekend. Now, both of my parents done well for themselves, had money, etc. But that doesn't mean that you have a great life. Just because money is no issue doesn't mean that there's love in the home. My dad was an extremely bad alcoholic. Very, very bad. And after 4 o'clock, if he didn't have to work, heaven forbid. Like, it was bad. And it was in the court papers that he wasn't supposed to drink while he had me. Well, my mom never would listen to me because, you know, it just is what it is. It was very frustrating as a child. Very, very frustrating growing up. There was no peace and quiet. I carried a duffel bag everywhere I went. And that's no life a child should lead. Having to carry and have two of everything because, well, you're at each other's parents' house every other night. And at the end of the day, that gets very fucking tiresome, excuse my language, but it does. No child should have to do that. Well, I started going to church around 9 and 10 at a local church called Liberty Baptist Church. I started going to church very heavily Wednesday. Anything that was involved in church, I was there to get out from the house. I had a lot of great friends in the church. Had a great time in the church. The church knew my circumstances, and so they would come pick me up. They would take me everywhere, whatever. I had great friends within the church. We had a great youth group. Very thankful. When I was like 16, I met my first husband. Met him at church. Fell head over heels in love. Wish somebody would have smacked me in the face. I moved in with his mom and dad, whom I love dearly to this day. I will keep their name silent, but I love them dearly. His mom, I loved her so much. She taught me so much about life. I will forever be thankful for that, and forever be thankful of going up to their home place was Virginia. We would go up there a lot. I miss Virginia very, very much. It's a beautiful place back in the hollers where it's peace and quiet, and all you see is turkey and deer, and you're going ginsenging, and it's amazing having revivals on the mountain. It's nothing like this city life, you know what I mean? So me and him married when I was 17. We had bought a place. We had everything we could ever need. He had a job, we had cars, we had a house, we had it all. And then he decided the grass was greener on the other side of the pasture, and I caught him with another woman in my brother and sister-in-law's house. And I said, oh no, sorry, buddy. And that ended. I was very lost because I didn't know who to trust in. I didn't know who to believe, who to trust. My parents could care less if I existed. Well, that's how I felt anyway, because, they were never there to lend an ear. So I just had to, do as I thought. And I had no clue at fucking 19 how to handle a divorce. I had no clue. Then I moved around a lot. I lost my cars. I lost everything. Because I just didn't have no clue. He handled all that. He was older than I was. A couple years older than I was. And I was just young and dumb. For the most part, young and dumb. I played follow the leader, and I believed that the man that should run the household, take care of everything, and that's what I did. That led me into a very wrong path, and for years, I wouldn't let it go. Because I believe once you get married the first time that you shouldn't get married again. That was totally wrong, blah, 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 blah. So I met then in that stage, I started drinking very heavily and partying a lot. Then I quit, and then I met my oldest child's father, and me and him were together for 6-7 years. We rodeoed together. He was a firefighter. I went back to college, got my GED, got certified in a lot of things, my CNA, my medical responder, EMT. Loved helping in the community. I had my oldest daughter, and back then the fire departments really weren't fond of women being on the fire department. So I continued to raise our child, and then after about 6 or 7 years, he thought the grass was greener on the other side. Like, what the fuck. So at this point, I'm like, okay, why do I even try? So I was a single mom. I had a trailer that I lived in, and I continued to work. I've always known that you had to work to provide for yourself. I mean, that's just, how it is. I had a car. He left. The house wasn't his. I kept the house. He moved back in with mommy and daddy, and I just kept working. I kept my head down. Really didn't do a whole heck of a lot. On weekends that I didn't have her, I would go out and party. I partied pretty hard. No drugs at that point, but it was a lot of alcohol. A lot of alcohol to numb the pain, because I didn't have my mom to talk to. I didn't have a brother or sister. I was the only child. So I didn't process things very well at all. Like, I didn't have really nobody to talk to. So that was hard. So if you're the only child and you have nobody to talk to, you learn how to deal with things yourself, and that can be mind-boggling at times. I dabbled in, I met a friend through my daughter's babysitter that was not the bestest friend to meet, and he introduced me to some things that I never should have done, but I quit those, and I became a better person. And met my youngest daughter's father. What a huge mistake. I don't regret my daughter by no means, shape, nor form, but I regret him 110. He was the biggest piece of shit I've ever met in my life, and still is to this day. Hasn't paid child support in 14 years. Won't hit a lick at a broomstick, but he can find a way to get a beer. You know what I mean? Like, and I got a way of picking them, I guess. I got a way of picking them. I've never had a brother or a sister to call and talk to. I've never had any of that. And I've really never had parents either that I could talk to and pour my heart out into. You know what I mean? It was just always me and my dogs and talking to whomever. So I started playing pool and started, just getting out in the community, helping in the community. At that time, I was a mom of 2 girls. It was very hard, but I continued to work. At that time, I had a job at the school system as a mentor. I worked with the 4th and 5th graders. I absolutely loved the program. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so very much. Did I make a lot of money? No. But I absolutely loved the group of women that I worked with. I absolutely adored my boss. Her name was also Courtney. God rest her soul. She has now been deceased now for about 4 years. I miss her every day. She was a really good friend of mine. Her and her husband were a chef. And she has 3 amazing boys. But at the end of the day, like, I cherish that woman to death. Like, she was amazing. She watched my children while I went to Texas to meet a good friend of mine. He will forever be in my heart. Me and him were really good friends for a very, very long time. I could always count on him to be a friend. First and foremost, he lives in San Antonio, Texas. But very, very good friend. He is now married. Me and him really don't talk that much since he got married, and that's just out of respect. You know what I mean? And truth be known, I have never had girlfriends. I was raised. Let's track back a little bit. I was raised a lot with my dad. My dad did more with me than my mom. So my dad took me hunting, fishing, training dogs, skinning deer, all that. So I was around guys more than I was females. So I was much more used to talking to men than I was females. Like, we would go skeet shoot, like, we deer hunted. My dad had a farm. And when my dad was good, he was good. When my dad wasn't drinking, now let me tell you, I had a blast. But when that whiskey bottle came out, God knows. And, you know, and two, my dad was a Vietnam veteran. And at my young age, when I was still at home, I didn't understand why he was drinking. You know, I couldn't comprehend that. Because at the end of the day, I was a child. And he had issues. And that's why he drank. But he would go through 2 or 3 gallons of Kentucky Gentleman a night and Sundrop. That was no small feat for him. No small feat at all. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, I went through a lot as a child. I remember my dad coming home with his head split wide open from here to here, getting into fights. Like, it used to be really bad. But, you know, fast forward, and this is like a fast track on my life. I will go more in depth if y'all want me to. I then met, after, I think Haley was 8, somewhere around there, 7 or 8, I met my now husband. He showed me a lot about life really, really, really quickly. He was from the other side of the tracks. He had just got out of prison, done 10 years, SCDC, and I did not know what I was in for. Did not. But met him at, anybody knows what a Piggly Wiggly grocery store is. Met him at the Piggly Wiggly grocery store in South Carolina, and we have been together ever since. We met and married in 2 weeks, and it has been a roller coaster ride. Now, don't get me wrong. The true testament of love, I will say that, because, you know, he has my back 110. We don't always get along, but we always have each other's back. We've been through a lot together. We've been through him being down and out. Just a lot of things that go with, you know, somebody that's been incarcerated. If you've never been with anybody that's been incarcerated, that is, and for a long period of time, that it's very hard, because a lot of them come out institutionalized. But the past 11 years, we have been, when we first got together, addiction was a big part of our life. A very big. I knew nothing of it, and then he introduced me to pain pills. And, you know, don't come on here bashing anybody. Let me tell y'all that now. It was my choice to use, and my choice only. But we started that tale, and that snowballed. When I say snowballed, I mean snowballed into a big, huge ball of fuckery. A big ball of fuckery. I caught my first charge, blah, blah, blah. It was homeless. Like, you have no clue. When we moved to the current place we're at now, we were homeless. We were living in a car. Not to no fault of our own. We had bought a house, and the lady that sold it to us didn't own the house. She had just split from her husband, and her husband owned the house. It was a huge, big old mess. But anyway, you know, addiction can take a lot from you. Been clean and serene now for four years. I do take MAT, which is Suboxone. I am a huge advocate for MAT treatment. If that's what you need, it's no different than any mental health med that you may take. But I'm very thankful for recovery. Very thankful to live clean and serene. And I want to show you something that got made by one of our followers, if you're still watching. Let me go grab it. Hold 1 second. Can you see that? That was made by one of our followers, Robert. He made that for me. It says, Ray of Hope of Happiness. I'm going to put some clear coat on it and keep it and put it on our wall behind us when I get a permanent space to record. But I'm super thankful of that. Huge shout out to Robert. I won't say your last name, but thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate the thought behind it, and it's beautiful. You got to give somebody hope in recovery. If they don't have hope, they don't have nothing. And we need recovery community centers all across the nation. Everybody deserves a chance to get clean and serene and to live a better life. I'm a huge advocate for that. So if you would, please, if you followed this far, please like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for being here. Peace out. Love y'all guys. Bye.